Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a weekly segment that has really captivated the world because the man that we get to talk to is one of the deepest thinkers, an anomaly, maybe an alien, and possibly the greatest thrower of a football in the history of planet Earth. He's the back-to-back MVP, four-time total. Just got off a win in the Go Bowl in Tampa Bay where he won 27 of 35 for 255 yards and 2 tuds. I think we have it figured out. Ladies and gentlemen, he looked good earlier. Does he sound great now? Let's assume he does. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah!
Can you hear me?
Whoa!
Yeah!
Come on!
Okay, good. I can hear you guys the whole time.
Thought that ball was going to go in because of it. I was so excited. I got big time. Grabbed the ball, shot it up there. That's my 4th miss of the day. Let's hope this conversation is not anything like my shooting game. Congrats on a big win, Aaron.
Hell yeah.
Congrats on a big win. There was a lot of hype around last week in the way Olsen was talking on the game and Burkhart were talking on the game. They were like, hey, don't just tell Aaron this is a September game. He said Aaron understands the legacy, what this game is like. He's a massive football fan. He understands that these two, you and Tom getting to play against each other, isn't going to happen that much more often, and we really got to captivate and enjoy it. Was that a real mindset going into the game, and what did it feel like getting the win, obviously? Is it different than any other game, or is this just we got to move on, we're 2-1 now?
There's a little bit of a lot of that, I think. I do love the history of the game, and I feel really fortunate to be in the conversation. Can you guys hear me still?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
sound amazing.
Perfect.
You look
Yeah.
great. Hair looks amazing. Sound great. This is
Perfect.
fantastic. Great work, CD, baby.
I haven't got my Chuck Berry shirt yet from AJ, but I'm rocking a little Tunyon and Son sweatshirt here.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Bobby Tunyon and his family.
That's an Indiana company, I believe.
Really?
I think he's an Indiana
Oh,
State
yeah.
guy, right?
Yeah?
Yep.
Big Bob Tunyon.
Yeah.
I think he's from Pittsburgh, actually.
Really?
What we were talking about the game, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't know he's a Yinzer. Fucking.
Yeah.
And if that's a construction company in Pittsburgh, there's probably Italians involved as well. I don't know if Tunyon's the only one in that company, but nonetheless, go back to the game. I appreciate you.
Tunyon, I think, got changed over at Ellis Island. I think it was Tonanini or something. You know.
Tagnini.
Yeah, Tagnini. Of course. Tagnini, what a player, nonetheless.
Yeah, it was a good win. I don't remember exactly what we were talking about or what Olsen said on the cast, but I do enjoy those guys. I'll just say that. I really enjoyed working with Troy and Joe for a long time, but having Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olsen in those minis out with EA has been a lot of fun. It's a good group. I'm not sure exactly what they were referring to, but I do love the history of this game, and I love playing in big games like this, even when they're in week 3. It still is week 3, and so we got to just, enjoy it. But now it's Tuesday. We're moving on to the next opponent. But sometimes these games factor into late season tiebreakers and different things, and obviously you expect Tampa to be there. They're one of the elite teams in the league, and obviously we expect to be in that position as well. So that was a good win for us.
Hell yeah.
So what were you saying? What did you see on the Jumbotron? I know afterwards you tried to get someone fired, whoever was operating that down in Tampa. So thoughts and prayers out to that person and their family. But what were you? What did you see there? Was that cheating? If you saw something and you went and relayed it to somebody?
Listen, first of all, the Jumbotron is interesting because you want to show replays, but you also there's been times where a replay starts to play, right? And somebody's like, oh, wait, hold on, turn that off, because it could be potentially a reviewable play. I think ours has gone to maybe waiting to the next play a lot of times, unless it's a for sure, catch out of bounds or down. If there's anything kind of on the edge, it's always you hope that home operator doesn't show anything. I will say, to clear things up, the questions seem to be like, what were you talking to Matt about? Down there on the 2-minute drive. That's what I was referring to. So during that drive, I realized we were past the point of probably needing a timeout. I think we had one timeout at that point. So I walked down because Matt loves standing kind of outside the 25 from time to time. So him and Joe Barry, our defense coordinator, were standing down there about the 20-yard line or so. So I just went down there and said, hey, we have one timeout left. If they come out with a formation or if we're missing a line or something, just don't be afraid to pop a timeout because we don't need it for the end of this. If they score, get the 2-point conversion, we don't need to carry that timeout over. There's 20 seconds left here. It's probably unlikely we have a chance to, after a play and a kickoff and different things to get in the range. So let's just make sure we think about that. And then then about 4 plays before 4 or 5 plays somewhere. It was well before the 2-point conversion. I did see something on the Jumbotron that I went down and relayed to Matt. I'm not going to get into exactly what I saw, or if it even had an real impact on the play. I think that's kind of inconsequential. But I just thought I thought I saw something. I walked down. I relayed it to Matt. Whether that got relayed to Joe or not, I'm not sure. Either way, it had nothing to do with the 2-point conversion. There was not an image of like the Microsoft Surface or anything on there. That would have been pretty funny though. But even still, even if you know something's coming and you relay it, you still got to go out and execute. I mean, I think that was what Spygate was all about, right? They, stealing some signals, but you still got to go out there and execute the play and, in our case, stop them. But it had nothing to do with the 2-point conversion.
Oh, sweet. So you stole their signals before the game, and then that's what you saw up there? You saw what signal they had out there, and you already had camera people ahead of the time film Tampa Bay Buccaneers stuff, and then you saw it on Jumbotron?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can't even dick around and say yes, by the way. Imagine if you would have, the whole world would have went upside down. You're just saying you saw something during the 2-minute drill that was on the Jumbotron. You relayed the message. Could have helped, could not have helped, made a play. Defense made a stop whenever they needed it. That's all you're referring to, even though the clip was certainly like, they saw a 2-point conversion. And Aaron, he saw a delay.
Well, they clipped the question. It was a long question. It was about you. We saw you during the 2-minute drive. You'd walked down. You talked to Matt and something about the 2 points. So I was answering yes. I went down there, reminded about the timeout. I also passed along some information I saw, during the drive, but it had again nothing to do with the 2-point conversion. Anyway, it was an off-schedule play anyway. So even if I'd seen something on the surface, again, you still got to go out and execute. And look, we're talking about heat of the moment stuff that it's how much it's information. Sometimes can be information overload. So whether or not they even got passed on to the defense, I don't know. I just talked about it.
Gotcha. So we, as an internet, me included, heard that clip, saw that clip, and overreacted. You're saying that's what we did?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, happy to hear
Good
it.
enough. Fair.
I put my fucking Zen necklace on, dude. I don't know if you even saw this. I got a Zen necklace on, dude. I saw you wearing it, looking cooler than anybody on earth. And I was like, I'll put one of these on. Maybe it'll be like I'm doing ayahuasca. You know what I mean? Is that what this is? Is that what this is? You wore it the other day. You look so cool. What is this?
I don't know. I can't. It's black on black there. I can't really see.
Blue. It's blue. I actually, if I wore my black, the only reason why I wore this today is because it blended in too much with the black tank. So I wore the T-shirt just to put this on so you could see it. What is this here?
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's it looks like some sort of ceremonial necklace, possibly.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers Tuesday.
A lot of those necklaces, are made by indigenous people, and there's like prayers woven into each specific bead, and so there's a power of a necklace that has a lot of prayers into it, and yeah, that was a gift that I got. I just felt like it kind of made the outfit.
You look super cool,
Yeah,
dude.
it was awesome.
Hey, Aaron, do you not trust wireless headphones?
Yeah, what's that all about?
Say again.
Do you not trust wireless headphones? You think people are trying to steal your info or something?
Why? Because the headphones I was wearing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
internet.
because you're always corded up when it comes to your headphones.
Yeah, the internet reacted to you being very wealthy and having wired headphones on, and we thought maybe, Dr. Joe Rogan pod, don't need to break up the Bluetooth or anything like that. And
This is really perfect for. This is a great theme that'll, I'm gonna listen here at the end of this conversation. But no, I've been, I've represented Bose for a number of years. They're a great company. They make incredible products. I have tried out some other products, including the Apple headphones, but they have CAA written all over the side. That was a gift from CAA. Big thanks to my marketing people at CAA. But also they have it says big CAA Sports on the side, instead of kind of maybe in smaller letters. So when you're trying to put together an outfit and you want like huge, kind of marketing there on the side, I just went with the more comfortable old school headphones.
yeah, I can't go with.
Also has a little, like thing you can talk into right here if you want to do a phone call. So very, very handy.
Do you think the CA on those headphones flows with the prayer necklace?
Not a chance.
I don't think so. I think you made the right decision. You looked awesome. You guys got a big win. Let's talk about the game. Dobbs seems to be a guy. I mean, it seems like you really enjoy him. He broke a record. I believe he's the first wide receiver to have 8+ receptions. Devontae Adams obviously was the only guy that's ever done it. He's a young guy you're building a connection with quickly, it feels like. How come? What do you like about him? And why do you think it's kind of started to work so well for you guys?
Well, funny enough, I went to him before the game and I said, great day to catch your first touchdown today, I think. And he kind of smiled. And sure enough, there's a lot of things that I love about Romeo, but it's just his approach. You know, he's very steady. He asks a lot of good questions. He's sharp when you quiz him in a meeting, or if a coach quizzes him, he's always come up with the right answer, cares about it. And the best thing is he catches the ball with his hands all the time. You watch a lot of catches he made. He made a catch last week on a screen press. There was a foot in front of him, easy hands catch. And I was teasing after the game about an interaction we had on Friday where he had a body catch on the sidelines and he came back 4 plays later and made this ridiculous over the shoulder, hands catch with the ball a foot above his head. He has that innate ability that you love from receivers to be aggressive to the ball and catch it with his hands, and it was fun to get him in the end zone. He made some nice catches. He ran some good routes, and he's going to get more opportunities, especially in a game like that where Sammy Watkins was out. Now he's on the IR, and Christian Watson doesn't play. We need him to step up and have that type of performance.
Oh, you guys were out wide receivers? I didn't know that. I thought that was only the other team. I had no idea if you listened to any of the media report. Let's talk about that touchdown for Romeo, because obviously this is a massive moment for him. I saw you all celebrate it. We have the ability here to do some stuff. What are you looking at here pre-snap down here in the red zone, Aaron? I think this is really when you start cooking. Now, Matt Hasselbeck told us yesterday that all these plays, potentially run plays, that you're allowed to check out of any time you want, because it's really clear. You see A.J. Dillon kind of cut this way, and it feels like the entire offensive line is all going this way. But then all of a sudden, you see these 2 dudes over here, and then you just got these 2 dudes here, and you make a check and say, I'm fucking throwing it to our youngest guy and make a play out there for me, Romeo Dobbs. Is that kind of how this whole thing went? And as soon as he gets in, are you going fucking bananas for this guy right here who beats 3 people to score his first ever rookie touchdown in the NFL?
Wow, look at you. You got the video this year, man. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I feel very good about it.
And you can roll it back. All right. Yeah. Pre-snap. Look, we're in a run to the left with a run solution to the right. So contrary to Matt Hasselbeck, this is not a check. This is built into the play. Now, this may have been an adjustment that I added to the play, but it's built into the play. And I'm just looking pre-snap at where the coverage is on Allen at the point and where Davis is outside and where that stud 31 is inside, and see how much he's shading to the side of the 2 receivers and where the defensive end is at and what our run game looks like to the front side, and kind of trying to put it all together and see what the best option is. I felt like in this situation, I had a chance to get it to Romeo, and I had Allen in front of him, who was one of the smartest players in the game, and I felt like he would probably lead the way and get us in a good situation if I put the ball in a decent spot here. It was, 3rd and 3? Felt like we had a good chance of getting the first down for sure and maybe a touchdown.
Yeah, I think whenever you watch it all take place so quickly, I think, whenever you made that comment about seeing something on the Jumbotron, everybody on the internet that is not an Aaron Rodgers stan or fan goes, oh, he gets a delay game all the time. He's bitching about seeing a delay game for Tom Brady, blah, blah, blah. He does it. But I think what we're realizing here with what you just broke down is the reason why the play clock runs down so low for guys like you and guys for Tom, you're literally trying to collect all the information you possibly can pre-snap, because it's a determiner of what you're going to fucking do at all times, every single play, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, look, we'd like to have better tempo for sure. I felt like there were times, especially the first 3 drives, we had nice tempo. We're getting out of the huddle quickly. But there's certain situations and environments and 3rd downs with long calls and check with me's and crowd noise where you're going to be up against the clock. And knowing the rule is really it's 0 and then look up for the back judge and look at the clock and then delay, right? It's not 0 delay. You know what I mean? Like once it's 0, it's not a delay game. There's always a beat in there for the ref to know it. It seemed like to me on both the last 2 plays for them that beat had happened. 0 beat delay. They called it on the second one. They didn't call on the first one. But yeah, we're up against the clock a lot, and we know the rules. We gotta get that ball off, and there's been times where it's been very, very close, but I feel like we teetered that line of 1-0 to delay pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fun.
Hey, you said on that play right there, the touchdown pass, that you had a run option, a run to the left, and then a run solution to the right. So there's a run to the left, a pass to the right. How much more comfortable do you feel now making those decisions at the line than, say, like your second year starting? I would imagine it feels a lot easier and better now.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a big fan of them. We put them in years and years ago. One of the first times we hit it was in 2006. We played the Seattle Seahawks at Seattle in a Monday night game, I believe, later in the season, and Brett hit Donald Driver, and Donald weaved and broke a bunch of tackles or made a bunch of guys miss for like a 60-yard touchdown or something, and that was the genesis of it. 2007, we played Chicago Bears at home, and they played like 42 snaps straight of the Tampa 2. And a lot of our passes that game were the backside one-step slants against their cover 2. They were playing outside leverage, and that was kind of the only way we could, get some positive passes because they were begging us to run the football, and kind of grew from there with different single-man, two-man, backside of runs, front side of runs, three-man stuff that we came up with that kind of went across the league. With the outside 1 and 2 blocking for number 3 running to the flat and various things off of that. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a percentage game. You're playing a percentage of what do you think the better outcome is going to be, throwing it out to the receiver or letting the run go in those situations. And they're not on every single play. They're on a few tagged specific runs each game, and every team I think throughout the league is doing something similar. It's a quicker version of the RPOs where you're not most of the time not really reading it.
Feels like it's a pretty sophisticated offense. Is that what you were referring to whenever you're talking about the young guys having to understand the whys of plays? And is that something that you think like the young guys are, obviously Romeo, you're building a lot of trust with him. Is he starting to understand the whys of plays and why you might do what you might want to do? Because it sounds like a very sophisticated offense. Sounds like it. I mean, it sounds like a lot of pre-thought there.
Well, you can make anything sound sophisticated enough if you use big words and keep talking about it. But
True.
at the end of the day, it's a very simple game. It's percentage based. What's the best play possible? I remember one time when I was a rookie, we ran a 92 blast. It was a weak side open play to Amon Green, and I saw him and Derek Brooks hit each other, and it was one of the hardest hits I'd seen. And we came back and watched the film, and they were in an 8-man box, and the comment was, "Well, the defense is gonna win sometimes." And I never really agreed with that philosophy. I always said, if there's a different thing we can do in that situation, why don't we do it? Then Mike came in with his offense, and we had a lot of answers, so we could adjust plays, run to run to pass to run, and started doing things to get after the defense when they gave us unfavorable looks, and it just grew from there. The ability to add run solutions now to the outside to do RPO game, as you saw from the college rank coming to the pro rank, and that's kind of my strategy. Why waste the play if there's an easier, quicker option, better option to get to?
A lot of stuff, going into the season was you no longer have Devontae, who was obviously a massive portion of the targets because Devontae is Devontae Adams. Now you got a new cast of characters. You get Alan Lazard back. It was obvious that him coming back was massive, not only for your comfort, but for the output of that offense. Can you put into words Alan Lazard's presence there for you? I mean, I saw him blocking there for Romeo Dobbs' touchdown, even though he's just running a route. He was blocking for it. It feels like you and him are on the same damn page, and he will demolish dudes in the run game. Seems like he's the perfect teammate for you.
He is a perfect teammate. He cares about it. He wants to be great, but he celebrates his teammates, and he does the dirty work. He's always been a great blocker, and he does it without complaining. He does it as a lead blocker. He does it on the backside. He'll sift defensive ends. He's, no fear out there, plays with an edge, and we love his approach, and we love when he's a part of the offense. And he can work in the slot and get down the sidelines on inside fade, and he can work outside, and he can break guys off and run read routes and choice routes, and he can do it all. I mean, he's a fantastic player. I love his story, and the fact that, He was, kind of a tweener guy, they thought. And is he a tight end? Is he a receiver? Went to Jacksonville, came to us, showed up all over the tape his first year. Then he gets cut. Then he gets activated, never plays until Detroit game on a Monday night. And the history of Alan Lazard was kind of written the first chapter that night. And it's been a beautiful start to the book, I think. And I'm really, really proud of him. He's got a great approach. He's a very good leader in our locker room. And when he's out there, we're a much better team.
Hell yeah. Ty, your question for Aaron.
Aaron, great victory on Sunday. That one was a lot of fun to watch. When you're looking at the offense as a whole, I think a lot of people look at, you guys only scored 14 points, but you look at the production from Romeo and Allen, and Randall Cobb looked great. You get Bakhtiari back, not for the whole game, but for a little bit. Are there tangible things that you notice with the offense getting better and kind of just more comfortable week to week that just most fans wouldn't notice, and who just kind of want to bitch that you guys only scored 14 points? Because it really did. I don't think the scoreboard indicated, how well you guys played on Sunday.
Thank you, Ty. You look, you're glowing today.
Thank you, Ty.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Ty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Listen, this game will always allow for gloating and bitching on both sides, and that's just that's a part of it. I think that's what makes fans so endearing. Is they want to gloat about us beating the Buccaneers, at the same time bitch about the production or whatever. Listen, this is a very difficult sport, and it's tough to win. And the Buccaneers are a great team and have a great defense. Not a lot of teams are going to light them up. Now, we had 3 great drives to start the game. If I throw maybe a better ball to Jonesy on that third down, he may slip 2 defenders, and it's 21-3. If he holds onto the ball, it's 17-3. Then the whole, rest of the game probably has a different maybe flavor to it, because we're up 2 scores for the majority of the game. And that last drive obviously doesn't have the same type of significance, and we're feeling a little bit better about ourselves. And we had some other opportunities. Obviously, I threw a bad pick, one of my only bad plays of the game. I felt like I played a pretty good game. It was great having Dave out there. I'm so proud of him, just like I was proud of Elton coming back.
I bet Dave. I bet Bach.
For Dave to be out there. We were laughing, and I'm sure you got AQ in there, right?
Yep.
I'm sure he can relate to this. Dave was saying, he'd never realized what it's like for those players that don't play every snap, where they're, D lineman playing 3 snaps coming out, linebacker who's not part of the nickel package coming out, or, receivers who kind of come in and out, backs, tight ends coming out. He's like, man, it's kind of nice, like playing a series and taking a series off.
Oh, no. He's getting comfortable. He likes it. He likes it, Ty. Sounds like Bach likes this.
I mean, I think he played probably a little more than half the snaps, but it was great having him out there. I think he, based on looking at the film, I think he played really, really well. Hopefully his knee feels great this week, and we'll see where he's at. But I feel good about our line and the way they've played, and the fact that we can have Josh Myers go out with cramps and bring in Jake Hansen. Feel good about that. Feel good about if we're going to do some platooning with Dave. We bring in Yash Nishman, who's played really, really well for us. So that helps our depth, but having him and Elton back definitely solidifies our line, and I felt like we ran the ball at times pretty good. That's a great front, and most teams that have scored points on them, any type of points, have done it throwing the ball. So we obviously had to throw a little bit more.
Hey, when you watch games, obviously you're playing during the day. When we look on and watch all these games going on, there's every once in a while you see a quarterback who's in like consistent pressure every single drive. It seems like multiple times getting banged up, never feels comfortable. Like, what does that do to a quarterback if you have consistent pressure over and over again? Does that wear on you?
Week 1, right? I mean, that happened to you week 1, I think.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it definitely throws off the timing. You might want to speed things up. That's kind of the natural reaction to that. I got to play faster. I got to, get the ball out quicker. I got to do this or that. I think there's some ways of helping with that. One thing is always mixing up the looks. Mixing up, especially when you got great edge rushers. Can't give them the same look every time. We got to slide to them sometimes, slide away. We got to chip them sometimes. We got to have a tight end in the back on them sometimes, maybe 2 tight ends on them sometimes, and slide away. You got to give them different looks. We got to leave an open end, come back and cut them. Leave an open end, come back and boot. We have to give
too, right?
cadence as well. You got to give them different looks. they're not just flying off the ball every time, because you let them just fly off the ball, with 40 dropbacks, a great pass rush is going to get home at least once. And a lot of guys once or twice, and then hit you a few more times. So you got to keep them off balance, and I think under center helps us too. I've loved kind of being more higher percentage under center in this offense. I feel like it gives us, a lot more things we can do.
I think you told us that Mike McCarthy maybe has a rule about taking a shot every single quarter, and you've kind of enjoyed it. Is that a part of keeping defenses off balance as well? Like, hey, got to take a shot even if you don't think the percentages are that high of it connecting, and how do you get those into the game plan?
Just ask for him.
Hey, LaFleur, fuck it. I can't hear you. Sorry.
Go deep.
Chuck it.
Oh, goes. Yeah, sorry.
No, listen, I think you'd like to push the ball down the field, especially because you just got to give them the threat of running by them. But, we're such a schematic offense that does also rely on timing. We give you so many different looks that have very similar things. I like the mix-ups that we had this week with fly motion on some of our guys, and then, toss action, then coming back and faking the toss and running a keeper off of that. I felt like that was really effective for us. So that's what we try and do. We try and make it all marry up, the run game with the action game, with the keeper game. And we're doing that. It's going to help us keep the defense at least, not clued into exactly what we're doing.
Did you and Tom text each other after the game, or was it just that dap up afterwards? All right, hey, good. All right.
See you down the road.
All right. Is that, or did you guys?
Yeah, there were a couple messages sent back and forth. Yeah, a lot of respect.
What you say, man? You looked handsome. You guys didn't win, but you looked handsome. Like, what do you guys say?
I mean, he knows that. I think he knows that.
What is it?
He had a nice run. It got called back, but he had a nice run.
Well, how about his knee brace just fucking turning that son bitch sideways? So uncomfortable, I'd assume.
Yeah, I think you got to slide maybe the other foot. But if you're, if you play baseball, you probably either a right foot forward slider or a left foot forward slider. And I think he's a left foot forward or a right foot forward slider, so his left knee is bent, so that's going to catch the turf and turn that thing around a little bit.
He had like offensive lineman Dahn joys on because he never runs, so it's not even like a thought of, because there's no offensive lineman that are sliding.
Hey, you got the clip.
Oh yeah.
Right foot forward. Yeah, right foot forward slider. So
I thought he looked natural. I thought he looked natural, by the way. The knee brace kind of made him look unathletic at the end. I thought he looked very natural through this, and he obviously felt like he was flying because he was. The knee brace got figured out. Did you guys text about the knee brace or about life in general or anything?
I was actually wondering if he had the GPS for his top speed on that run. So I was just waiting to hear back from that.
He'll have it figured out. TB12 will have it down to actually, I think it'll be millimeters per second. They'll get it down, because it's the little things. The big things take care of themselves. This week, congrats on the win. Congrats on the win. Woo! The Goat Bowl, you won. Congrats. Happy about it, pumped about it. Let's continue to move forward. Now you got the Patriots. And anytime you take on the Patriots, I assume you just have massive respect for Bill Belichick. That's how I am. Every time I pick a game, I'm like, I feel like Bill Belichick will figure it out. What is it against the Patriots defense that is different, if there's anything, because Bill Belichick's over there for you going into the game week?
Well, he's the best coach of all time. So,
GM too, probably, by the way. GM too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a legend, living legend. And he's been ahead of the game for a long, long time. He makes incredible in-game adjustments, halftime adjustments, third quarter adjustments, fourth quarter adjustments, whatever it takes. You know that there's going to be an initial idea about what they want to take away from our offense, and then they'll have 2 or 3, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. We figured that out in 2014. And I've told us before, they wanted to take away Jordy and Randall. We went to Devontae. Then they wanted to take away Devontae and went to Jordy. We wanted to really take away Jordy for sure and Devontae. We went to Randall. I mean, that's what they do. They're always mixing it up. There's different fronts. He's added an extensive zero blitz scheme to the repertoire. But he's a fantastic coach, and you just never know exactly what you're going to get, but you got to be ready for all of it.
Do you have any relationship with him? Because I always see him. He talks, it feels like, to guys that he has respect for after games. I assume he's come up to you and chatted with you. Do you guys have any relationship at all?
I think just a mutual respect. I've seen him a few times over the years at various events, but just a lot of respect. I mean, for me, I think he's a fantastic coach, and I love what he's accomplished and love what he's about, and think he's hilarious in his press conferences, and Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, I fucking love it. Mac Jones just yesterday was like, injury questions are for Bill Belichick. So then Bill comes up and they're like, what about Mac's injury? And doctors are looking at it. Just fucking buries him. I mean, it is, being a local reporter up there has got to be either the scariest thing of all time or the most hilarious thing of all time. Maybe at the same damn time. Can't wait to watch how it all pans out. Connor has a question for you going into New England this week.
Yeah, Aaron, please take it easy. If you feel like, you're beating the Patriots too bad, maybe throw left or only do no looks. But with Mac Jones and New England, have you kind of had any thoughts about how the offense is being run, and how difficult do you think it is for Mac having two guys kind of calling plays?
I think that a lot of times, and this is just an opinion. This isn't based on anything that inside information, but a lot of times when there's stories that are out there about that, in actuality, one guy's really doing it.
Oh.
So, there's conversation around who's calling a defense sometimes. Is it this person or that person? It's usually figured out in-house, and then maybe for whatever reason, it's not really talked about a whole lot outside of it, or it's just not a big deal. Like there might be some defenses where, one guy calls first and second down, one guy, throws in a call on third down, a position coach or a pass game coordinator or something, and it's never that big of a deal. So I think for the most part, a lot of that's maybe just fodder for media consumption. I would guess at a place like New England with Bill, it's probably pretty smooth. So whoever's calling it, I'm sure that Bill is making sure that's the smoothest process possible. I would be highly surprised if there was any strife or struggle or back and forth or wondering who's doing it, because in actuality, I believe that there's only one way of talking to the quarterback, like one headset that talks to him. I mean, that's what I would want. I wouldn't want two different voices in my head. So somebody ultimately has the final say on what the call goes in, and then they go run it. So I don't know that that's that big of a story. A bigger story would be if there was a major change in philosophy or terminology. But I would assume it's Bill O'Brien, right? And
No, it's Joe Judge
Joe Judge
and Matt
Not even
Patricia.
that. And Matt, okay, so I would assume those guys use pretty similar terminology to Josh because they're all in the system together. So I would assume it's not that big of a difference.
Got it.
Hey, how important is that guy that is calling the offensive plays? I tell Pat all the time, I think that guy that coach has the ability to have the biggest impact on the game one way or the other, good or bad, the person calling the offensive plays. Is that something that you could see, would you want to call plays? Let's say hypothetically you were a coach someday. Would you think you'd be a good in-game play caller?
I think I would, because I know what I don't want as a quarterback.
So it's you, though. You would have to be calling your own plays, not for another quarterback. Like you're calling
No,
for.
I think I could call it for another quarterback, and I have before. That's a story for a different day. But
Okay.
2011 to week 17, I called that game. A good portion.
Flinters?
Did we
Was that
win?
Flinters game with the record? When Flinters set the record?
He had a nice day. He had a nice day.
Threw for like 500 yards.
You could, is this information brand
480
new?
and 6. Yeah, 480 and 6. It's not a new
You
record.
called all of them? You called the whole game?
I called a lot of that game. Yeah.
Hold on, is this brand new information that you might be the greatest fucking offense coordinator in the history of offense coordinator? Matt Flynn throws for 500 fucking yards with you on the headset. Is this new news?
I don't think that's new news. I think it's been out there that I had a hand in a lot of those calls. But
Well, congrats, dude.
Wow.
Way to have it.
thank you so
Hey,
much.
great day on the headset.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't do a whole lot. Again, Matt balled out.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got to be in there.
Matt
Emotion.
balled out. I mean, they drew him off side, threw a touchdown. He threw a key to Jamaica for a touchdown. He had an empty pressure, throw to Dahn for a touchdown. We had a screen that nobody ran the screen except for the receivers and Ryan Grant. And Ryan went 80 yards for a touchdown. I mean, it was a well played game for Matty. I'm really happy for him. But my whole point is, slower is better. Enunciation is important. So that's what Matt and I, he doesn't know I come up with new signals for him from time to time. Like he knows that this means now I can't hear you, right? But I'm trying to get him on this one, right? This one means slow down.
Enunciate.
Enunciate. Matt, come on.
Please say the words that you're trying to get out of your mouth.
A million miles an hour. I'm like, Matty, hey, just slow down, bro. I can't understand what you're saying. There's a lot of people talking to me. So just slow down and stay with me. But thankfully, Jordan does a great job. Jordan Love, because he's always watching me and standing near Matt. And Matt, like Mike used to always stand like right to my left, like right on the yard marker, right? So it was great. So I just looked at Mike, hey, one more time. Yeah, I didn't hear that. It's fantastic. But Matt, he could be roaming the sideline. He could be down 50 yards on the other sideline. He could be behind us. Who knows where the hell he is? So, but Jordan always stays with him. And if I'm like, hey, one more time, what was that again? Start over, slow down. Jordan's always helped me out with that. So big thanks to J-Lo on that.
Hey, LaFleur's awesome, huh? What do you say after this game? And obviously, it's just a September game, and it's an NFC game, so it's obviously important, and that's a very good football team. You get a win. But what was LaFleur's message afterward? Is he just, fuck it, we're on to the next one, guy? Seems like he's a little bit of a psychopath when it comes to football. Is that an accurate read on him?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, it feels like it. When you're watching, it's
Listen, he loves throwing the occasional bone, but it's a little different than it used to be. Victory Monday, and I don't know if Ship remembers this, but I'm sure you guys remember this as well. Victory Monday used to mean you don't even come in the facility, right, if you don't want to.
See you Wednesday.
Right? See you Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Have a great 2 days off. Go down to Milwaukee, have a good time. Go to Madison, have a blast.
Come on.
That doesn't happen anymore, right? So, but I like to needle him from time to time. So he was like, and guess what, guys? See you Wednesday. And I was like, old school, see you Wednesday.
Actual see you Wednesday.
And everybody in there but Mason and Big Dog were like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I was like, well, back then we never had to come in on Mondays and Tuesdays. Now it's, you got to get a flush on Monday. If you want to squat for me, squat Tuesdays. So, look, the schedule is great, after a win, especially when Maddie gives us a little bit of a break. It's also great for the coaches, I think. They can actually, maybe get home before midnight on a Monday and Tuesday because they're grinding so hard watching their desks. But
old school watching your
Guarding
desk.
their desk. Guarding the desk.
Yeah.
guarding their desk. Yeah.
Hey, this question came up earlier. We were pontificating about it, and since you've been around the NFL for so long, and you are a runner, okay, still moving, by the way. Hey, you still got it. You know what I mean? You're doing that basketball training in the offseason. It's paying off. You still got it. Still got some wiggle. Last night, Sterling Shepard, non-contact, running a go route, tears his ACL. Odell Beckham Jr. Responds on the internet and basically says, like, what are we even doing? We need to get rid of all turf fields. And we're not saying that the turf field necessarily caused Sterling Shepard, but it certainly has raised the conversation again about turf fields and grass fields. And we talked about how in the Premier League and in all these other leagues that involve a playing surface that is grass or whatever, they have these incredible technology that are able to keep the grass perfect. They invest in it. They pay for it. They do the whole thing. And the NFL is still like, there's some grass teams, there's some turf teams, and it feels like guys continue to get hurt. Now, from a business perspective, I think the NFL owner should view it as an investment in their team because if you lose a star player, you're probably not going to sell as many tickets, not have as many eyes. But I think it's difficult for them to do that if they hear the large number it's going to cost to have grass fields in every stadium. Do you think we're ever going to find a time in the NFL where it's all grass fields? And are you a proponent of that? And what is the difference between the two in from your perspective, Aaron?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if we're ever going to get a standard for that because it's up to the owners. The owners have such a hold on what happens in the league, as some people think they should. There's not a standardization across the league, even on grass fields or on turf, right? So grass in Chicago is different than the grass in Tampa. Grass in Green Bay is different than the grass in San Francisco. It's different types of grass, different lengths of grass, different consistencies. I love our field, but it can get slick at times for sure. Other fields, at nighttime or in humid weather might not get as slick. Chicago's always kind of grown their grass out a little bit longer. Oh, yeah. It used to be a lot longer than it is now. It used to be really long. But the indoor facilities, though, don't have a consistent standard, meaning I think all the fields are a little bit different, right? That's just, again, I don't have the specifics on those, but some fields seem a lot more firm. Some have a lot more give, where there's a little bit of, sometimes wobble, when you're making your cuts. And I think some of the wobbles on a microscopic level can lead to some of these injuries. Probably that's what Odell, I'm sure, is talking about. I actually saw the play that Shepard, and it was a wild play, right? It looked he's just running normally and then goes down. To me, I thought, did he like something with cartilage on the lateral side, maybe? But you're saying it was ACL?
Yeah, confirmed torn ACL out of nowhere. So he had an Achilles last year. Fucking
Awful. Yeah, no, it's awful. He's been hurt, I think the last 4 years now. So it's awful for a kid like that. But there's a lot of non-contact injuries on those indoor surfaces. I don't know if it's at a higher level or not. I'm sure that somebody can do some research on that. But I think it'd be hard to do a across the board standard for it. But most players, a majority of players, especially older players, would love playing on grass. That's why even in the wintertime here in Green Bay on some of our coldest days, when Maddie asked me what I want to do, I said, let's go outside. I'd rather go outside in 10 degrees than practice indoors on the indoor turf.
And AJ and AQ talked about this earlier. Down in Tampa, the older guys would be asked where they want to practice, and they said, give us the 110 sauna outside on the grass as opposed to the turf on the inside. And you're saying on the opposite end. So people that are watching, that's how players feel. They'd rather go into a fucking hypothermia or into a sauna as opposed to run on this turf for another day, potentially for a full practice. And who knows if there will ever be any change. I hope so, though, Aaron. I kind of hope so.
I hope so, too. I mean, they're looking into a lot of different issues around injuries, and that would be an interesting path to go down. Look at the stats on indoor facilities against outdoor facilities and types of grass and all that things. I'm sure, with the analytics, money that gets thrown around, I'm sure we could figure at least get some sort of information around that.
Last question about storylines around the NFL before we get to the book club. Cannot wait to hear what we are reading this week. I mean, last week, the love, I fucking loved it.
You could have read The Mastery of Love, which I actually still have right here.
It was so good. It was
Unbelievable.
It was so good. It was so good because
I could have read that in a week, I'm sure. This next book, I don't know if you could read in a week. You probably want to stretch it out a little bit.
No.
But
Oh, no, there's no chance of me reading it, sounds like. But Mastery of Love was sitting right at my desk, two of them. I had two of them because I wanted to read it twice. Instead of reading the same book twice, I wanted to read both books because I wanted people to feel good about it. And boom, fuck, boom, bang. Read this thing, no big deal. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait for it. The abusive language. Did you see this? What happened? Fourth quarter, Chiefs-Colts. Chiefs up 5, I think, or up 4 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Third down. Matt Ryan and the Colts don't pick it up. They're punting. Matt Ryan off the field. Punt team already on the field. Call for abusive language from Stone Cold Chris Jones to Matt Ryan. 15-yard penalty, first down. Colts go down the field, throw a touchdown to Jelani Woods with 20-some seconds left, end up winning the game. Essentially, abusive language was the thing that turned that entire game and got the Colts to win. Now, I'm happy about it. I bet on the Colts, and I am a Colt. But in the whole, our take was can't have this happening. Were you guys told about this? Is there some things you can't say, you can say? Do you involve in any of this, and what are your thoughts on it?
well, there's always a video every year. Like, here's the they can't call them points of emphasis anymore.
Clarification, points of clarification.
That's what it is. Clarification.
Yeah.
And you always see those reffed a little bit more. I remember a game against Minnesota where roughing the passer was, the big thing. We're going to really clamp down on all these roughing the passer calls, right? And Clay hits Kirk, I think, on an intercepted pass.
Yep.
And they call it back. And the hit was very, very light, and I remember how frustrated we were. But that was what they were emphasizing at the time. And then there's, this year, I think illegal contact has been something they've been really trying to look at. Stuff that could be away from the ball as well. When it comes to abusive language, I don't really know exactly what that's talking about. I do know that there's certain, code words that they're probably looking for that you probably,
Like
are
what?
going to get points for. But
Say them.
How do we know, though? If you don't have a list of the abusive words, how do you know what's abusive? Is it you got to put George Carlin special on, or what are you going to do?
I think we need a George Carlin special. I don't know. I mean, there's not a list of them, but I would assume if you're putting together some colorful metaphors that you're probably gonna give yourself a chance to get fined. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Chris would have said to him. Or I feel like Chris is a great competitor. He doesn't seem like a hothead to me, and Matt, great competitor, doesn't seem like a hothead to me either. So I don't know what was said between the two of them that would have, been grounds for abusive language. But there wasn't a whole lot of abusive language in our game. It was pretty
civil. Sue's not there anymore, but Sue and you and Sue obviously have your whole thing, and hopefully that'll get settled one day over some good scotch or maybe some stock investments. I know he's in that. But Matt Ryan didn't even react. Like, Stone Cold Chris Jones was in his face, and he's smiling. Chris Jones is. Yep. Matt Ryan hears it, throws the ball, jogging off the field, probably feeling like we fucking lost this game, and then all of a sudden abusive language, 15 yards. It's like, I wondered if they tell you guys anything different. It sounds like no. It's just like, hey, there's some things you can't say. You know what they are.
Well, it's the taunting as well as a point of clarification. They're really looking at taunting, standing over a guy or making a demonstration to a guy. A lot of them, to me, I don't know, man. It's soft. And there's been stuff done to me. Like, if somebody does the belt to me, do I want a taunting penalty on that? No, of course not. Like, I don't know. I mean, we just got to be careful going too far on some of these rules. It's like what college did with targeting. Are you shitting me?
Yes.
Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. You're ruining these kids' and teams' opportunities by subjective calls or weird movements that a defender makes, or an offensive player lowers their head last minute and it becomes a helmet to helmet, and we're taking kids out of if the first half they're out of that game, right? Second half they're out of the second half and the first half of the next game. I mean, the punishment doesn't fit the crime at all. It's ridiculous. So we got to be careful on how far we go on some of these rules. Again, I don't know what was said between Chris and Matt, but that's what happens. These calls, they're 15-yarders, which severely impacts a game, especially late in a game like that.
Yeah, the Colts won because of it, and I don't know if we'll ever know what either of them said to each other or what Chris said to cause a 15-yard penalty. And back to the targeting thing, I think they should look at intent, right? And I guess that's hard to sell or whatever, but if like a guy is clearly putting his head down and trying to spear somebody and take them out, like, I think that's very obvious. Where if a guy like Skolsky gets a big time shot and his intent is just to make a tackle, and you're kicking this guy to the national fucking championship game, this guy like that's he's worked his entire life. And then in college, you lose one game, you're not going to go to the national championship. So you take a guy out that's like a staple of your defense, who's probably the reason why your team maybe goes to the national championship. It's an interesting thing, and we're in a time right now where everybody's trying to overcorrect things, and maybe we'll finally settle in, though. Aaron, maybe it feels like we're maybe.
Right, I think you're right, though, Pat. I think you can, especially with the help of replay, look at intent. And if a guy is spearing, eyes closed, cheap shotting a guy like AJ used to do to me at practice, like, kick him out of the game, for sure. Kick him out of the game.
His face.
But if a guy is making if a guy's making a head up tackle, and the offensive player lowers his head or does a weird thing, and it comes helmet to helmet, that shouldn't be grounds for an ejection. That's ridiculous. You're impacting these kids' lives on a grand scheme, and I don't think it's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we don't think are right, but you know what? This show is going to fucking fix them all.
Oh, yeah.
This show is also going to bring back a lot of literacy advocacy. Ain't that right?
Yep.
This show is going to turn people that would have never opened a book into full-time readers. This show, in its second time doing it, is going to have the biggest book club that we could possibly have. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for book number 2 of the Aaron Rodgers Tuesday Book Club 2.0. Aaron Rodgers is telling us to read what book? Last week it was The Mastery of Love, which we all read. Yep. We bought 2 of them so we could read them twice. Give them to 2 friends, not just 1 friend. This week, Aaron Rodgers is telling us to read a book that he says is much longer, so might be a less reading percentage.
It's much older, and it's an important book, I think, to read, because we got to make this book fiction again.
The Bible.
It's
Boom.
It's one of the most famous fiction books written. Definitely the most famous fiction book written in 1949, and it's called 1984.
Ooh, George Orwell.
Georgie. Oh, this is going to be some shit, right? This book is something, obviously. I've heard about this book before. This is going to start a conversation that, of course, Aaron wants us to read this book.
I would love for you to read the book. I know AJ's already read the book. He's told me about it. Maybe just the cliff notes, but
So I know what it means.
But yeah, it's an interesting book, especially in the context of our time. It's written in 1949 by a guy named George Orwell about a dystopian future of 1984, where a lot of the things that he wrote about could have some correlation to things going on in our world today in 2022, and especially when the government renames a division of it the Ministry of Truth, which is the organization that the main character of the book, Winston Smith, actually works for. It's an organization that rewrites history every single day to change what is true, but maybe anti the party ruling, or maybe undermining the people in charge. They rewrite history in order to fit a narrative that better suits the talking heads of the day. So very fascinating book. It actually got pulled, I think, from many reading lists. It was a book that was on a reading list maybe in 8th grade for many of us, 7th, 8th grade, junior high, I think, usually.
Of course.
But a book that still stands up. Very interesting book. Controversial, I think, to some people. But at very least, a book that you can read and say, I'm going to read this book so that this doesn't happen to my society in 2022 and beyond. Because a lot of things that are happening in this book could be, we're moving towards some of those things right now.
So you're saying this is like done by the Jetsons or by the Simpsons people? Is George Orwell one of those time traveler folk? Is that what it feels like?
The Simpsons is amazing. I mean, I still remember watching that video you put out. It was like, I don't know, minutes and minutes long about all the different things they've been writing about, including the weirdest thing maybe of all of them was Trump coming down the escalator, right?
Yeah, well,
The sign falling down.
the Queen, they got the Queen's year passing. They got that right, 2022 on the, that's been added to that video. And since we put that video out, that has got, and this is not like a,
No, it is. Go ahead. Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of millions of views. Like that is the biggest video we've ever done by far. And we get, it's been plopped and put into so many different things because I wasn't the person that created the theory, but I was the person that follow enough people that's like, hey, people that are in this culture feel the same way as people that are in this culture, feel the same way as the people that are in this culture, and I have friends in all of them. We all have different things in every culture that's like, the Simpsons predicted this, and then in this, the Simpsons also predicted this, and it was like, all right, let's do some fucking research on this and really gather them. Ty went to work. There's like 27 of them or 28 of them that were just like too spot on to be like coincidence, you know? But apparently the Jetsons, same fucking thing. I guess the Jetsons have like 60 things going through their show back in the day that are all real now, and it was supposed to be set in the future and all that stuff. So I'm excited to dive into 1984, pal. I'm excited.
I know you won't. I know you won't. And again, it's a fascinating book. I read it many years ago.
All these books.
And look through some of the notes I'd made in it recently when I picked it up. I was trying to find it last week and start with it, but actually I enjoyed starting with Don Miguel Ruiz and Mastery of Love as a first one. But I think Pat, at some point you would be interested in reading it. It's a fascinating book. Yeah. I've seen. Have you even read The Alchemist yet? I mean, that's
The Alchemist.
Classic.
Bro, when I think about The Alchemist, I honestly just think about a movie, a book, I mean, that is just so... It's not over here.
It was there, definitely there. I saw the cover.
Oh, yeah, this one.
You're holding it right there, yeah.
Well, the thing about The Alchemist is to realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. And when you're diving into this Brazilian author's book right here, Paulo, you really start to feel that, or Spanish, Brazilian, Spanish, I think Spain,
Portuguese.
Brazilian, is it Brazilian, gentlemen?
Could be Brazilian, could be Portuguese, who knows?
So they speak Portuguese in Brazil, right?
Yes.
That's confusing.
Obviously, when I read this book, I thought to myself that the idea is that your singular pursuit should be to live in your own dreams. And that's what The Alchemist is all about. And that's why the book club's so amazing, because that's something I would have never dove into. Can't wait to read 1984. Can't wait to hear the response of all the people on the internet of you picking that book for us to read. I appreciate it. I'm excited about it. Good luck this weekend against the Patriots, and congrats on your win against the Bucs, pal.
Thanks, guys. And I look forward to this every week and can't wait to see y'all next week.
You're the man.
Hell yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So that's one of those books that everybody's going to get bananas about.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Aaron wants us to read like that type of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.